التامة المباركة الفاتحة. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers and sisters, this hall is packed tonight, so I would appreciate it if you could just move a little bit towards this side of the hall so that any newcomers, they can easily be seated. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A little bit, if you just all move a little bit on the side, it would be really, really appreciated. على حب فاطمة الزهراء صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا مولانا أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وصلى اللهم على آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين. قال الله حكيم في محكم كتابه العزيز. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولله المشرق والمغرب فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله. صلوات على محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
The night before the day has arrived. The day that separates us from the shahadat of Imam Hussein is upon us. And indeed, when we talk about tonight, the Battle of Karbala was supposed to happen during the daytime the past day. Imam Hussein asked for one more night for ibadah. And we have been blessed with one more night of the dhikr and you know how Khani and the Sos Khani and Maisiyah Khani and Sina Zani of Imam Abu Abdullah Hussein. Indeed, it is a true blessing to be sitting amongst the participants of the majalis of Imam Hussein. In the Shia faith, we don't believe it's just us that's here. We believe all of Ahlul Bayt have come. That means tonight, in the ladies you have Fatima Al-Zahra, in the ladies you have Zainab Al-Kubra, in the ladies you have Sakina, in the ladies you have Ruqayya, in the ladies you have Rubab and Layla. In the men you have Rasulullah, in the men you have Amir al-Mu'mineen, in the men you have Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Sajjad, and all of that. So we should really try to take the best lessons from the majalis of Imam Hussein. Dear brothers and sisters, over the past few nights I've been talking about the idea of the existence of God from the more philosophical perspective. And now I want to go a little bit on the human side of the message of Abdi Hussein. The God of Hussein is the ultimate creator. And Muhammad and Al-Muhammad are his ultimate creation. The God of Hussein is a God of mercy and kindness and love and compassion. He's a God of what I call the God of the second chance, the God of forgiveness. The God of Hussein is the God of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He forgives. If today I have sinned and I have blackened my whole heart, I still have an opening for repentance. I could have done the same sin a million times, but the 1,000,001 time when I take myself back and turn myself to Hussein, that 1,000,001 time becomes the time of forgiveness. Why are we so apt to judge people? If I don't pray the way you pray, if you don't pray the way I pray, and inshallah all of us fast in Ramadan, if we don't fast in Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a God of forgiveness. And we automatically, once we see somebody, as not just myself, but as a mu'ammam, when I see somebody, if I see the person is not praying, maybe I have a negative judgment of that person. Religion is not about negative judgments, dear brothers and sisters. Indeed, in order to heal, in order to make the person who you want to do tazkiyah and nafs for, first of all, you need to do tazkiyah and nafs for yourself, and then you serve as the general nudging guidelines for that person. Imam Ali is Khalifa. And one of his companions he drinks khamr, he drinks alcohol. Imam Ali is Khalifa. And he says to this person, you know, if you drink in front of me, then I will have to punish you. So this person would go to the darbar, to the court of Muawiyah to get his drinks. Then he would come back to Imam Ali. One time Muawiyah saw him and he says, even the companions of Ali, when they want to drink alcohol, when they want to do haram, they come to Muawiyah. His chalice on which he had his alcohol dropped, it broke, and he went crying to Imam Ali. Imam Ali hugged him, and he was said to him, I was waiting for this time for your repentance. Imagine, Imam Ali is governor, and he has given that person so much time for forgiveness. Imam Ali is ruler, and in his khilafah, there's a story of a woman who does zina. She comes to Imam Ali, and she says to him, Ya Ali, I have done zina, I want you to punish me. Imam Ali says, are you pregnant? She says, yes. He says, wait until the child is born and then come. Then she comes after the child is born, and she says, punish me. She says, are you weaning the child? Are you breastfeeding the child? She says, yes. She says, come back after 2 years of breastfeeding, and then I will punish you. After she came back after 2 years, Imam Ali said, looked up to her and said, woman, asked for forgiveness already. Imam Ali, as the ultimate guide, is telling us that we should not be judgmental. Why is it that as a Shia we are judgmental? If I don't see a sister wear proper hijab, astaghfirullah. Of course, I'm not saying we have to follow the rules of fiqh. But you know, one of the things that I noticed in my teacher's risala, and you know, halal and haram in many cases are judgment words. And they go against the objective for which they were founded. Meaning, if I have a negative judgment of you, I say halal and haram. And then when I say haram, I used to actually do this. One of my friends, he was a hafiz from the holy city of Qom. He told me there were some of my friends, some of my close family members were listening to music. And he said to them, tell them that the malaika do not come to the house in which there is music on. Of course, there's a tradition that's there. And then he says, tell them that they will, on the day of judgment, for 70,000 years in the day of judgment, they will have molten metal being thrown into their ears. And you know the response that these people gave me? He says, if I'm already going to hell, I might as well enjoy myself. If I'm going to hell, I might as well enjoy myself. Why? Because I created that negative environment. I, as a mu'ammam, as somebody who sits on the majlis of Imam Hussein, created that environment. That negative environment is the antichrist of spiritual reformation. It is the Dajjal of spiritual reformation. If you want spiritual reformation, you have to accept a person on a holistic level. If I want spiritual reformation, of course we all want revelation as well. But you know, we get that when we talk about Prophet Muhammad. There's no wahi coming down after him. That was supposed to be a joke. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The God of Hussein is a God of mercy, the God of second chances, the God of million chances, the God of love and compassion. And Imam Hussein is the Imam of love and compassion and mercy. The famous Pakistani Khatib Allama Rashid Tawabi, when he used to recite Shabi Ashur Majlis, he says Imam Hussein gave this night for every hur who wants to make the journey from the hell, which is the servitude in the army of Yazid, meaning that hell, which is the servitude to the materialistic realm, to the paradise that is submission to the will of Allah Muhammad. So when I am here today, I want each and every single one of us to make that promise with Imam Hussein, that when the Hussein of our time comes, we say labbaik to him. Our character should be so sublime that he should not be in ghaiba in the first place. It is because of us he is in the ghaiba. If 313 governors were to come today, he would no longer be in the ghaiba. And indeed, when we talk about the ghaiba of Imam Zaman, his close companions, he meets with them in the ghaiba. Imam Zaman is not wearing, and this is for the kids and the Harry Potter generation, he's not wearing Harry Potter's invisibility cloak and he's on the Green Island enjoying himself, having a virgin margarita or whatever. No. He is here. But we don't recognize him because our hearts have been blackened with sin. I could be in Masjid al-Sahra. Imam Zaman could be right next to me. I would not recognize him because of my sin. I could be in Masjid al-Jamqarar, Masjid al-Kufa. Imam Zaman would be right there in front of me. I would not recognize him because of my sin. We need to make the promise today, dear brothers and sisters, that we become the hur of the time. Imagine the level of the mistakes or sins of hur. We don't like to say that sin of hur. He is the one that brought Imam Hussein away from Kufa. He is the one who brought Imam Hussein to Karbala. He is the one who removed the tents from the river bank. He is the one that, because of whom, they shut off water to Ahlul Bayt since the 7th or 8th of Muharram. He did all of that. If Bibi Zainab's veil was stolen off her head, it was because of hur. Had he not done that, none of Karbala would have happened. Yet on tonight, they say that he was asked, and I mentioned this in the Masa'ib of Hur, that if one of the generals, Umar ibn Sa'ad, came to Hur, and he said, "Oh Hur, if I were to be told or asked who the most brave, the most courageous, the more valiant person is in Yazid's forces, I would say it's you." But he's trembling. He says, "I see the hell, I'm going between hell and heaven." He hears the cries of Al-Atash of the children of Imam Hussein's forces, and he cannot bear it. He makes the active decision to go to the mercy of Allah. Tonight, I want each and every single one of us in this room to make sure that we make a pledge today to Imam Hussein. "Oh Hussein, to the Hussein of our time, we want to be the Hur ibn Yazid al-Akhir of your forces. We want to be the Abu Fadl al-Abbas carrying your flag, the Ali Akbar, the Qasim, the Al Muhammad. We want to be there. We want to be there to serve you, O Imam. We want to be there." Imam Hussein is the Imam of ultimate guidance. In non-violent philosophy, even Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, when they talk about their non-violent philosophy, they say if you reach a stance or a situation where there is no more room for movement, you can rise up, take arms against the authority, as long as you afterwards you think and you contemplate and you have made sure that all the avenues of turning non-violent philosophy have been satisfied. And Imam Hussein, he, in the most peaceful manner, as much as he could, he tells the people, he tells all of time who he is. He sends Ali Akbar to recite the Adhan. Ali Akbar looks exactly like the Prophet. Imam Hussein had a mu'adhin for the other days that he was in Karbala, for the whole time. But the mu'adhin of Ashura is Ali Akbar. Why? Imam Hussein wants all of us to look at the standard that he's saying. If you want to be with Hussein, you look at Ali Akbar and you realize the path of Hussein is the path of Rasulullah. The path of Hussein is the path of Al-Zahra. The path of Hussein is the path of Imam Ali al-Murtada. The path of Hussein is the path of Imam Hassan Mustafa. The path of Hussein is the path of Sahib al-Asli wa Sama'ala. Allah. Imam Hussein, look, dear brothers and sisters, on the day of Ashura, he gives so many guiding statements. Half of the maqtal is khutabat, the khutbahs of Imam Hussein. In the Arab tradition, they recite hours of the maqtal, an hour-long maqtal with all the sermons of Imam Hussein. In one of the sermons, he goes to the enemies, he says to them, listen, isn't Ja'far al-Tayyar my uncle? Isn't Hamza Sayyid al-Shuhada my uncle? Haven't you heard Rasulullah say about me and my brother Hassan, Hadani Sayyiday Shababi al-Jannah? These are the leaders of the paradise. He says to them, if you haven't, then there are those amongst you who have seen Rasulullah make all these statements about us. As Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, who was alive, blind, he could tell everybody what he heard from Rasulullah. He said, go ask the people who were there. Ali Akbar was a sign. Al-Abbas was a sign as well. Look, I mentioned the Musibah of Al-Abbas. He was not told, he was ordered not to fight. Had Abu al-Fadl Abbas fought on the day of Karbala, he could have ended all of Yazid's forces by himself. On the 9th of Shabi Ashur, he is with Ali Akbar, and he says to Ali Akbar, oh Ali Akbar, tomorrow is going to be a massive battle. Let's not trouble your father with anything. He says, I will take care of half the army, you take care of 1/4, and we leave the remaining 1/4 for the Sahaba of Hussein. The valiant Abu al-Fadl Abbas going to get water and not fighting was a sign for Imam Hussein to the rest of the world. If you want peace, if you want humanity, if you want justice, if you want value, if you want valor, if you want courage, if you want submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to go through the door of the Safi Abbas, who is following the commands of Allah. Who is following the commands of Allah. Then after Karbala, what happens? I just talked about the God of Imam Hussein. There is no difference. Bibi Zainab is not the level of the highest level of Isma, but there is no difference between the conception of the God of Imam Hussein and the God of Bibi Zainab. If Bibi Zainab, who was paraded from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham, if she had wanted, she could have passed as many fatwa of Kufa as she wanted on all the Muslimin for having them do this, but she spread the idea of love and compassion and humane value and care and justice and the attachment to humane characteristics of the human being. Look, if we are given the ultimate freedom, we might become the most vicious people on the face of this earth. But she cultivated, within the time period that she was in prison, she cultivated the love of Ahl al-Bayt in the hearts of those she encountered. So much so, and I believe as I said before, the Christians of Mosul had more rahmah on Muhammad than the Muslims of Kufa or any other place. They told Yazid's forces, we will not let Ahl al-Bayt in unless you give them their hijab. Had Bibi Zainab started disrespecting everybody who came her way with her khutabat, would they have listened? No. We need to be ambassadors for Imam al-Hussein, dear brothers and sisters. We need to be ambassadors for Sayyidah Zainab salamullah alayha. Sayyidah Zainab salamullah alayha, her God is a God of beauty. When she enters the palace of Ibn Ziyad, he says to her, Zainab, we killed all your family members and everything. And we destroyed your family, we took everything from you, we killed all of your brothers, companions, and everybody. What does she say? She says, what do you think of what we did to you? Sayyidah Zainab does not start complaining that Allah gave us this, and you did this, and this happened, and that happened. She says, I see nothing in it but the beauty of God. She says, imagine being in Bibi Zainab's position. Everything looted, everything destroyed, tents burned, brothers killed, sons killed, nephews killed, earrings of Sakina stolen off of her ears, a sick Imam al-Sajjad at the Muharram who she has to protect. If she wanted to complain, she could have done all of that. She says, وَمَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. I see nothing in it, the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ladies and brothers and sisters, we need to merge ourselves with the mantiq ilahiyya of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and Sayyidah Zainab salamullah. If there is a brother or a sister today who is lax in their religion, make a promise with Ahlul Bayt. Make a promise with Imam Hussein. Make a promise with Sayyidah Zainab. Today, I make the promise that I will give everything for you, O Hussein. I make the promise. Bibi Zainab gave up everything for us. Imam Hussein gave up everything for us. His Shahada, Imam Hussein already had paradise. He says,
Please take it for the kids. Too much right. Come on. Brotherly.
the second time, the love of Fatima Al-Zahra salli ala Muhammad.
Please take the kids now.
The third time, for the love of Sahib al-Asli wa Zaman salawat ala Muhammad. Jazakallah khair. على حب الحسن والحسين صلى على محمد وعلى محمد. Make that vow now. Look, I mentioned this previously in lectures as well. Bibi Sakina's namaz al-Shabda al-Rahim Qala. Bibi Zainab's namaz al-Shabda al-Rahim Qala. If I am lax in my prayer, I make the promise today, Hussein, that you gave your head in sajda. You gave your head in sajda. You in the battlefield of Karbala never forget your salat. You gave everything for the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Hussein, I give everything in your way. Imam Hussein does not need our physical wealth. He does not need our physical houses or our clothes or anything like that. No, he needs our life. Before, when Imam Hussein was about to arrive in Karbala, they say there was a camp of a man who was outskirts of the city of Kufa. Imam Hussein knew who he was. And he went to him, and he said to him, in a few days there will be a massive battle, and all of my family members will be killed, I will be killed, women will be looted, tents will be burned, and everything. And he says to him, I want you to join me. The man says to Imam Hussein, I will not join you, but you can take my horses and my sword and fight with them. Imam Hussein says to him, you take your swords and your horses and leave, because if on the day of Ashura you hear the wailing and the lamenting of the women and the children of Ahlul Bayt, and you do not respond to their call, then you will be damned to hellfire. My promise today for Imam Hussein is I give my life for Hussein. My promise for Imam Hussein today is I give my wujud for Hussein. My promise for Imam Hussein today is I give every single iota of my body, every single atom of my body to the way of Imam Hussein. This is that holy night, dear brothers and sisters. Dear brothers and sisters, this is that holy and sacred night. There's a big difference between tonight and tomorrow night. Tonight, Imam al-Hussein is alive. Tomorrow night, his head will be chopped off and be placed on a lance. Tonight, Ali Akbar is alive. Tomorrow he will be sleeping that eternal sleep because of which he had an arrow thrown at his chest and he breathed his last. Tonight, Sakina can rest in comfort. Tonight, Bibi Zainab can rest in comfort. Tonight, Bibi Kulthum can rest in comfort. Tonight, Bibi Fizza can rest in comfort, dear brothers and sisters, because they know that Abu Fadl Abbas is alive. Tomorrow night, Abu Fadl Abbas will be lying by the riverbank, hands cut off, and the enemies will come and they will steal the hijab from the heads of the women and the children. Tonight, Ahlul Bayt are partaking in a night of ibadah. All of Ahlul Bayt, all of the companions of Imam Hussein, they are partaking in a night of extreme ibadah. The women are getting the children ready for tomorrow. Tonight, about Abdullah al-Hussein, he addresses his companions and he says to them, tomorrow there's going to be a huge battle. The enemy, they're not after you, they're after me. If you want to leave, I let you leave. He says, if you are shy and you are afraid or you are humiliated by leaving in the presence of Imam Hussein, if you are humiliated by leaving in the presence of Ahlul Bayt, I will turn off all the charag, all the lanterns, and you can go in the darkness of the night. Then he says, if you are afraid that we will still criticize you, you can take one of my members of my family as a guide to guide you back to where it's safe. Just go. Imam Hussein turns off the lanterns, he turns it back on, and not a single companion has moved. They told Imam Hussein, if our jugular veins were severed 100 times, 1,000 times, and we were given a life 1,000 times, we would sacrifice everything for the way of Imam Hussein 1,000 times. Qasim ibn Hassan, I recited his musibah. He says to Imam Hussein today that on this day, death is sweeter than honey. Losing my life for you, O Imam, is sweeter than honey. This is the iman of Qasim ibn Hassan. All the mothers are preparing their children for tomorrow, dear brothers and sisters. Imam Hussein goes and he does a roundup of all the tents and the women and children. He goes to the khaymah of all the women and he sees the mothers preparing their sons and children for the battlefield. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he goes to the tent of Sayyidah Zainab. Sayyidah Zainab is telling on Muhammad, tomorrow is going to be a huge battle. It's going to be a fierce battle. I don't want you to trouble your uncle. I want you to be the first ones to go before Ali al-Akbar goes. Lady Zainab is telling this to her sons. Farwa is telling Qasim tonight, son, Listen, if tomorrow there is a hindrance in your going to the battlefield, the Ahl al-Bayt will say is because Imam Hussein married a non-Ahl al-Bayt member that this is happening. They will attribute that fault to me. I want you to be the first one to go. He goes to the tent of Rabab. Rabab has a 6-month-old baby. And she's wondering how this 6-month-old baby is going to be sacrificed for the way of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Fizza, she is wondering who is going to go for her as her sacrifice. They say Imam Hussein or Abu Fadl Abbas say that I will go as your sacrifice on the day of Karbala, on the day of Ashura. Dear brothers and sisters, there were 3 martyrdoms that destroyed the heart and the eyesight and the back of Imam al-Hussein. The eyesight, when Ali Akbar fell from his horse, Imam al-Hussein lost his eyesight. Imam Hussein, when Ali Akbar fell from his horse, Imam Hussein completely lost all of his eyesight. When Abu Fadl Abbas was slaughtered, Imam Hussein's back became bent. And when Ali al-Asghar became shaheed, Imam Hussein broke and his heart broke. His heart broke so many times when Ali Asghar became shaheed, dear brothers and sisters. On the day of Ashura, after all the companions have left, after all of the Ahlul Bayt have left, Imam Hussein turns to the enemies and he makes a universal cry that echoes throughout time. Ala halm nas yansuruna. Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to help the haram of Rasulullah? This cry was made for all time. They say not a single one of the enemies from Imam al-Hussein, when they heard this, they budged. Not a single one of them budged. But as soon as he said this, they say the women and children from the camps of Imam al-Hussein started crying. They started lamenting. Imam al-Hussein saw when he went back to the tent that his 6-month-old baby had replied to the call. He was telling his father, the enemy's hearts are so blackened that they have not responded to your call. I am a 6-month-old ma'soom, innocent baby. Father, I respond to your call. That's the first time Imam al-Hussein's heart breaks. To see how madloom Abdullah al-Hussein is, that he cannot even give water for his baby. He cannot provide water for his baby, so much so that Ali al-Asghar falls off his cradle. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he takes Ali al-Asghar. Some say he hid him in his abba. When he went to the enemies, dear brothers and sisters, some of them started saying maybe Hussein has brought Quran because he wants to do sulh now. They didn't know this was a Quran, but it wasn't the book, the Mus'haf Quran. It was a 6-month-old Quran that Imam al-Hussein had brought to be his final testimony on the day of Ashura before Imam Hussein himself became shaheed. Dear brothers and sisters, Imam al-Hussein removed, when he approached the enemies, he removed his cloak, and they all saw a 6-month-old baby, Ali Asghar. Imam Hussein says, if there's any problem between you and me, it's between you and me. This baby is innocent. If there's anybody who in your view is at fault, it's me. This baby is innocent. Give him some water. Give him some water. Nobody budges. Nobody moves. Imam Hussein says to them, if you think I will get some water, I put him on the ground, on the hot burning ground of Karbala. You give him some water. You take him and give him some water. He puts Ali Asghar on the ground. Nobody moves. Imam al-Hussein takes Ali Asghar back and he says to him, son, my words are hitting deaf ears. Maybe if you could do something that will melt their hearts. Ali al-Asghar turns to the enemies. They say he took out his dry tongue and he rubbed it across his even drier lips. And that's when they say, some of the enemies, they started to turn around and cry. They started to say, we should give water to this little child. Amr ibn Sa'd, seeing this fighting, this insurrection in the forces of Yazid, he says to Hanmala, kill the words of Hussein. Hanmala, kill the words of Hussein. Hanmala, he took a 3-headed arrow. An arrow that's used to kill big game. A three-headed arrow. They say he tried to throw it once, he couldn't do it. He tried to throw it a second time, he couldn't do it. They say finally when he threw it the third time, he closed his eye. Somebody came up to Karbala and he asked Muhammad, if I were to be told who the best in Nizadan, in the arrow thrower is in Yazid's army, I would have said it was you. How come you waited and you stopped and you stuttered 3 times? He says every time I wanted to throw the arrow, I would see a mother in the background. I would see a mother in the background. So the third time he says he closes his eyes and he throws the arrow. You know, in the Maktab they say Ali Asghar's head was pierced on 3 places. The one side, the one head of the arrow pierced one part of Ali Asghar's ear. The middle head of the arrow went straight through the neck of Ali Asghar and onto the hands of Imam Hussein. And the other part pierced the other arrow. Imam al-Hussein's heart broke again. He could not give his son any water. His heart breaks again. Now Imam al-Hussein has the difficult task of bringing the dead body of Ali al-Asghar to the women and children. They say he goes 7 times from the riverbank to the camp and back. He says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. بذنب قضائه وتسليما لأمره إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون بذنب قضائه وتسليما لأمره 7 times he does this. Finally, in the 7th time, he goes to the tent, he opens the tent, and then the first person he sees is not Rubab, it's Sakina. Sakina had also been waiting for water. She looked at his father. Imam Hussein had Ali Asghar covered up so nobody could see the blood on the wood. She says to him, Ali Asghar is quiet now. She says to him, Father, did my brother get any water? Father, I was thirsty too. Father, I was thirsty too. Imam Hussein removes the covering of Ali Asghar's neck. Rubab comes in, and you know what she says? She says, Amithluka yunhad? That do they slaughter 6-month-old babies like you as well? Do they slaughter 6-month-old babies like you as well, dear brothers and sisters? Imam al-Hussein, he went to the back of the tent. Lady Zainab found out that Imam al-Hussein had returned. She says, where is my brother? She said, they tell her he is in the back. They say he is preparing the grave for Ali Asghar. She goes to the back of the tent. She sees Imam al-Hussein. On the one hand, on his shoulder, he has the body of Ali Asghar. With Zulfiqar, he is digging the grave. She says to him, brother, give me the body of Ali Asghar. You dig the grave. And you know, in Arab tradition, they sprinkle water on the grave. Imam al-Hussein, when he made the grave, he cried saying, dear son, when we bury somebody, we put water on the grave. I have no water to give you. He cried so much that his tears wet the grave of Ali Asghar. Ali Asghar, on the 11th of Muharram, Imam Hussein buried Ali Asghar. I conclude with these points, dear brothers and sisters. On the 11th of Muharram, Imam Hussein had buried Ali Asghar on the 10th, and when Ahl al-Bayt were being rounded up, their heads were being counted, and then you know what? Hadmana says there is one head short. Rubab is watching. He takes an arrow and he starts piercing the ground. The first time he pierces it, nothing comes up. Rubab, maybe she has an inclination. She knows what's going to happen. The second time he pierces the ground, nothing comes up. The third time, they say the arrow hit something. He tried to jerk it up. He couldn't. He forced it up, and out came the body of Ali Asghar. The 6-month-old baby's body came out of the ground. He chopped off the head, and he made sure even Ali Asghar's head was put on a lance.
Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein.